Hi guys, welcome back. I hope you had a good spring break, or at least as good as it could have been, and you enjoyed that nice weather out. Um, Anywho, we are going to go ahead and start at the beginning of chapter 12. I don't know how far you got with Mrs. Arnold, or even if you started on the cardiovascular system, but I'm going to go ahead and start at the very beginning and go from there. And I'll try to do this in shorter, smaller chunks, digestible chunks, just so you're not having to stare at a screen and listen to my voice for a long period of time. That can't be a whole lot of fun. So let's go ahead and get started and talk about the cardiovascular system. And really, we're going to kind of shorten this into the first two sections. So 12.1, we're really going to focus on the structure, the anatomy of the heart, and how blood flows through the heart. And then in 12.2, we'll focus a little bit more on the physiology. And that's really what I want to get done in the next 2 weeks. Unfortunately, we won't be able to do the dissection. Hopefully, we'll be back at school before the end of the year, holding out hope. If we are, then hopefully we can dissect those hearts. It's really one of my favorites of the whole year. So let's dive in, and let's first talk about what the overall purpose of your cardiovascular system is. And if you look at this picture, it's a very simplified view of our cardiovascular system. And of course, we know it's made up of your heart. So there's our heart, and our heart is just a big pump. And then we've got arteries and veins that are going to go throughout our entire body. And together, those two things are going to work just as a huge transportation system in the body. Think about it. Every single cell in your body has to get sugar and oxygen. Why is that? Well, every single cell needs to make energy. It requires that to live. So if a cell needs to make energy, it's going to have a blood supply. So every single cell in your body is going to have to be hooked up to some sort of blood vessel, kind of like every single house has to be hooked up to a road of some sort, some way that you can get to and from that house and get supplies in and out. So cells are a lot similar. So this is going to be the huge transportation system of the body. We've got the heart, which is the pump. It keeps everything moving and going in the right direction. And then here we've got arteries. So arteries, I want you to think arteries away. They both start with an A. So you see there's this big artery. That's actually your aorta, the biggest artery in the body. It's carrying blood away from the heart and will take it to the rest of the body. And then right here, you actually have the pulmonary artery. So when you hear the word pulmonary, we're going to think lungs, but artery means away. So those are our two main arteries that leave the heart. And then our veins are actually responsible for bringing blood back to the heart. So you can see this vein here coming from the top and bottom parts of the body. That's actually your vena cava. And then you also see that you have, there it is. You have your pulmonary veins that are going to bring the blood back to the heart from the lungs. So arteries away and veins are going to carry blood back towards the heart. With that being said, if you're looking at the heart, you can see that it has two different sides to it. You see over here, you see it's colored blue. We call this the right side of the heart. And over here in red, we call this the left side of the heart. And you may say, well, Mrs. Miller, you might need to go back to grade school and learn your left and your right again, because this is definitely the left side. And to that I say, well, yeah, true. When we're looking at this diagram, this is on the left side of the diagram. But think about this man in this picture. This is his heart. And if you were this man, this would be your right arm. This would be your right side of the body, and this would be your left side of the body. So really, this is the right side of this man's heart, and this is the left side of this man's heart. So when we're looking at diagrams of the heart and of the cardiovascular system, we've really got to flip-flop our left and our right. So that's the first thing we have to kind of get our mind around. So over here on the right side of our heart, where you see this blue coloration, which while we're at it, let's go ahead and talk about that. The colors of red and blue, when we're looking at diagrams of the cardiovascular system, those aren't realistic. So inside your body, you don't really ever have blue blood. A big misconception. A lot of people like to say, well, yeah, this side of the heart has deoxygenated blood, and that blood is blue. And that is not true at all. All blood inside your body is going to be red. The only difference in color that we're going to see is that when the blood is deoxygenated, so it would be on the right side of the heart when it's low in oxygen, it's actually going to have a deep, dull, kind of maroon, dark red color. Whereas over here on this left side of the heart, where your blood is oxygenated because it's come back from the lungs, it's going to be a bright red. So the only color differentiation you're going to see in blood, whether it's inside the body, outside the body, no matter what, don't let anybody tell you that blood is going to be blue. It is not. It's always going to be red. It's just a difference in bright red or dull red. So going back to this, we've got this right side of our heart in blue, and it's really going to be responsible for receiving blood from the body after it's already dropped off its oxygen and its sugar to the different cells in the body. And really, we're going to focus on oxygen here. Well, once it comes back from the body, it needs to be pumped out to the lungs. The lungs are really going to be responsible for reoxygenating that blood. So the blood is going to be pumped to the lungs. There it's going to pick up the oxygen. And once it's picked up the oxygen, it actually has to head back to the heart. So we see that blood head back to the heart. And on this left side of the heart, this is actually going to be your most muscular side. This is the stronger side of your heart. It has to be. Because when this side of the heart pumps, it is responsible for pumping blood to the entire body, whether it be up to your upper limbs of your head or your lower limbs down here in the lower part of your body. So it needs to push that blood out with a great amount of force. So it's going to be an extremely muscular side of the heart, whereas over here on the right-hand side, the walls of the heart will actually be a little bit thinner because it only has to pump blood to the lungs. So it's got a little bit shorter distance to travel. So next thing we need to understand, there's really two circuits that we see here. Two really paths blood is going to take. Blood is going to go to and from the lungs, from the heart, and we're going to call that the pulmonary circuit. Pulmonary, again, that means lungs. So the pulmonary artery, if we put those two words together, artery means it's going away from the heart, pulmonary meaning to the lungs. So if we're looking for the pulmonary artery, it's right here. We're going away from, blood's being pumped away from the heart, and it's going to the lungs. And then this second part of the pulmonary circuit is the pulmonary veins. So if we break that word down, veins, they're going towards the heart. Pulmonary means lungs. So we look here, we look for where's the blood going from the lungs and back to the heart. So right there, and then you've got one coming in on this side. It kind of goes towards the back. You can't see it. Those are the pulmonary veins. So this circuit right here, where blood is traveling out to the lungs, picking up oxygen and coming back, we call that the pulmonary circuit. The second part of this cardiovascular system is the systemic circuit. So this is where we see blood vessels going from the heart and out to the entire body and back. So again, let's break these two words down. We have the systemic arteries. So arteries, again, we're going away from the heart. We're taking it to the other body systems and to the rest of the body. So you see here, we have a systemic artery, and that's actually the aorta. It's that big artery of the heart, the biggest artery. And then systemic veins, these are going to carry blood back towards the heart from the rest of the body systems. So you see right here coming from the lower half of the body and right here. And these are actually the vena cavas, the superior and inferior vena cava. So this right here are systemic veins, and then our systemic arteries. Those are going to make up the systemic circuit. Again, that's going to and from the body. So let's stop there for right now. Just wrap our head around that information, and we will pick up here in the next video and go over just a little bit more information about the heart.